This is how I made $569 trading NQ on Monday, March 9th. So I just did a trade recap for Friday, and you can see this was Friday's PA here. Took this retracement trade, ended up getting exact stops, and the market coming into Monday sold off. There's World War news going on with Iran and the United States and Israel. That's a conversation for a different day. But coming into the market open, we can see that ES and NQ come down and take out this big daily level all the way over here. ES takes it out by a single tick. ES as low as 84.50. This daily level is 84.75. I mean, and then after that, we have no more liquidity levels short for a while. So my initial thoughts were, when this liquidity was taken out on both indexes, this to me looks like a high resistance low. And then we want to ideally start trending away from this. Paired with the fact that we have this new week opening gap, those tend to be strong draws on liquidity. Not even strong draws on liquidity, just strong targets, because once we get in here, there's not many contradicting orders. So we can see price move swiftly through it as it did. But the reason that I did not take this trade heavier size is because price action was a lot more hesitant than I would have liked to see it be. I was prepared to take this trade if it confirmed to what I was, I don't want to say anticipating, because I don't like to inflict my will on the market because it's always going to do it at once. But I had a decent idea of the trade I was wanting to look for, if that makes sense. Let me drop down here to the 15-minute. What we have, this ends up being very interesting. This is market open. What we do is we put SMT. And I think this is why the market was hesitant. We put in this SMT, and what that does is allow ES to come down, retrace slightly, and Q does the same. Well, yeah, I mean, they both make it a decent retrace. ES obviously is the weaker index. But despite this SMT favoring ES short, and this gap here, that's a strong target on NQ, that gives us conflicting PA. Now, let me drop down here to the 5-minute. This was a trading day I had to be real patient on. Real patient today. Let me get this 940 candle. I didn't enter this trade until, shoot, I don't know. I think it was, I don't know what time it was. But if we look here, you can see this is just chop. Both indexes just chopping. But what we have to see is we have to conform to what the 5-minute PA is showing us. We get an SMT, 5-minute breaker structure to the downside. And then what do? We inverse this 5-minute fair value gap here on NQ. Also inverse this gap here on ES. Am I going to take a trade off that alone? No. I need a 1-minute retrace to fake out shorts, and then a breaker structure on the 1-minute back to the upside. And then what do we get? We didn't get that. We put in a new low. And that actually made me like this even more. So we got a 5-minute SMT as well. 5-minute SMT. Now, if we were going to go short, I mean, it was very possible that we very well could have ended up going short. If we would have despite being in 5-minute structure to the upside, we very well could have tanked short. Now, if NQ would have put in a new low, and this would not have been an SMT, would I have taken shorts on ES? Probably not, because this is down into a premium. I would like to find an entry up in here. But if NQ would have broke below this 5-minute low, I could have seen ES going tank or lower to tank and take out London session. Now, as we were talking about, I don't know if all the way down here is realistic, but this is trend. Higher time frame says we want to go shorter, so at least down to London session low. This is a trade, like I said, it was very patient on. Once we put in this 5-minute S&T, once we put in this 5-minute S&T and get the 5-minute push out of it that we do, while in 5-minute bullish order flow, I told myself if we get a 1-minute retrace, this is going to look like chop, but if we get a 1-minute retrace and then a break of structure to the upside, I'm going to take longs up into this. Now, what price ended up doing was exactly that. It retraced on the 1 minute, broke structure to the upside. I entered in somewhere here, resist lows down here, targeted this high, this high, this high, but I only had entered light size because of the chop. So this could have been a very good trading day if I had taken more size, but I didn't. Why didn't I? Same reason I talked about in my last video. I've just been nervous when I shouldn't be. And this was a little bit more justified because this is just not ideal PA. Let me drop down here to the 1 minute. I'll explain this a little bit more. What this looks like is this 5-minute S&T holding here. Once we break 1 minute structure to the upside on this high here, I entered in here, risk this low. To take profit at this high because we very well could have put in a 5-minute S&T here, from here up to a high to send ES shorter. Guys, this is just S&Ts all over the place. 15-minute S&T, favoring ES short, 5-minute S&T, favoring NQ long. But once we broke this 5-minute gap, this is close above this 5-minute gap, we get a retrace. This S&T forms. I want to see 1 minute order flow get disrespect to the upside. We inverse this gap, and we break 1 minute structure here. I entered on the break of structure. I wanted the extra confirmation. What we also did was after we inverse this gap, we come down and test it and get a reaction out of it. Could have waited for even more confluence, but like I said, I entered here, risk this low, got like a 1.25 risk to reward up to this high. I really thought about holding up to this high here, over here, and then deeper into this gap, which price I was ended up doing all the above. But for me to only have one contract, and for price to be as choppy as it is on both indexes, I was okay with taking this profit here. But I was also telling myself, once price picks a direction, it's going to go, because we have 5-minute liquidity, 5-minute liquidity, 5-minute liquidity, 5-minute liquidity, but we also have it the same to the downside. So whichever way this was going to go, it was going to go with a good amount of force, in my opinion. But like I said, I only had one contract, so I sold here. And also, as I said, this is a very technical day, very harder day trading than I normally make it. This is one of those where I had to really be patient. We put in this S&T, very well could have shorted ES once we broke 5-minute structure to the upside, but then you would probably got stopped out. And then probably could have longed once we inverse this gap. Then you probably would have got stopped out because realistically you're not going to enter all the way up here and risk slows all the way down here. Maybe you are. That's just not me. I'm waiting for a retrace, put in a 5-minute S&T, break 1 minute structure to the upside. And that is the trade that I took, and that's how I made $569 trading NQ Monday. Thank you.